Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25, brought to you by Wellington's Pub and Grill. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us today. And as always, we have head coach Tom Sawyer joining us. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations on the first win of the season. Before we really delve into anything, I guess your initial thoughts, your grade for the team in the first week.
Actually, I thought we played even better than what I expected. We really had a lot of unknowns going into the game. The guys that we knew would play well, guys that just hadn't had a lot of reps yet, including Darren Binkin, was a group that really surprised me in a real positive way. We knew it was there. Yeah. We didn't know if it would show up actually a nationally ranked game, and it did. So I'm really surprised, and at the same time, I'm excited about where we go from here.
All right, as we talk about this week, we're going to look at some highlights from the game. You mentioned Darren Binkin. Let's ask about that. 300-yard game in his first collegiate start after having to sit and watch, basically. Still got in the games prior to this season, but still, how would you talk about his game and rank his game?
Well, I'll tell you, one, he was very excited, and one, very nervous at the same time, even though he's, 23 years old and he's a fifth-year senior. He's not played in a football game in a meaningful way since high school, and so that's not easy to do. Being a backup is being a backup is being a backup. I mean, it's not the same, and he handled that pretty well. There were some times where he made some adjustments on the field. We weren't quite sure what he was doing, but it seemed to work, so we threw it in for this week. But nonetheless, some guys made some plays for him. Elliot Cox, one of our guests today, made a couple big plays early in the game. Survived us on third downs, kept the drive alive, and you take the opening drive of the season against one of the best defenses in the league and take it down and score. That's a huge momentum thing. But overall, I thought Darren played exceptionally well.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about the offense kind of in general. As you said, the passing game worked really well. The running game, you got some touchdowns down inside the red zone. But overall, you were kind of limited in the run game. What do you think about the running game?
Well, everybody's asked me about that over the weekend because, we thought, well, and we talked about it last week, talking about being able to run the football with some efficiency but at the end of the day, that Bemidji defense was pretty good. And that front seven was exceptional, better than I thought. You only play them every other year. You don't really get a good feel for it. But, we had to clean some things up. We got a couple new guys in there, too. And so it just wasn't pretty running the football, and I think we could do a much better job, and we hope to continue that this week. But overall, I think the defense from Bemidji was better than I expected.
All right, and you and the offensive coaching staff always throw some wrinkles in on your offensive plan, and one of them was the Wildcat offense. We saw that a couple of different times. Your thoughts on the Wildcat?
Well, we call it the Hoosier. Okay. And Devon Moore comes in. He's a redshirt freshman quarterback. He plays some now receiver for us, tight end, slash kind of a player, and he's got exceptional skills. And so we wanted to introduce that, see how teams are going to play it, but he's a multiple position type player, and we have a lot of talent around him too. So I think you saw a little bit of what that part of the offense can do. Of course, it's pretty expansive on what we could do with it, but it's a complement to what we're doing. It's not something we're going to go to exclusively, but a complement to the things we're already doing.
All right, last thing about the offense then, Darren was able to throw to 12 different receivers. That was kind of the hallmark of Jack Nelson when he was here. So is that kind of Darren on checkdowns, or is that designed to be going to a certain receiver?
Well, no, I'll make fun of him on the air because quarterbacks just don't think that running backs are humans, so they don't throw it to them very often. But of course, I coach the running backs.
Right.
But no, I think that's just the way our offense is. You look at it from way back. We've been doing this a long time, and our offense really hasn't changed. We just plugged in another quarterback. Now, there are certain route combinations that Darren does differently and a little bit better than Jack did, but the concept is exactly the same. The defense will tell us where to throw the football. So he goes through his read progressions, puts the ball on him, and whoever happens to be there is there. And when you get to use that many receivers, it really makes it difficult for the defenses to prepare against us.
All right, I was mistaken. There's one more thing that I wanted to get to, and that was the fact that Darren threw 2 interceptions but bounced right back. Your thoughts on being able to put that behind him?
Yeah, when the first one happened, I kind of looked at him. He goes, "That was just a bad read." I mean, and it really was a bad read. And he threw the ball up and something that he does occasionally in practice, but he's a freshman quarterback if you think about it. And so he's going to make a couple of those mistakes along the way. What I like best is what you said. He bounced back. He's mature. He handles himself, and the guys around him rallied big time. Both offensive and defensive guys came to him and say, "Hey, we got you back," all those kind of things. But the team awareness around him, he really felt supported, and it really was true.
All right, defensively, they were able to throw for 300 yards, but just like your team offensively, they only got a little bit on the ground. Your thoughts on the defense overall?
Our defense played exceptional. That was one of the highest scoring offenses in the league. Their quarterback, was he was one of the guys top in the country. He was talked about as a Harlan Hill candidate, all this kind of stuff, and to hold him down to right at 3. In fact, they both had 308, I think. But we really took some options away. We put a lot of hits on him, like we talked about. And he made some mistakes too, and I think that was the overall pressure that we had. We let a couple sacks get away, but stopping that offense like we did, holding them to field goals at the beginning of the game was huge. We even went for it. One time I declined a penalty to go to 3rd down, and the kicker had already missed one field goal. We held, he kicks it, he made that one, but 12 points is a lot different than 14, or 6 points is a lot different than 14. So we'll take that, and overall our defense played at the speed that we were hoping for. All
right, talk about Andrew Spencer. He gets the interception. I know that he had talked to us before the season that you maybe said that if he'll for every interception that he gets, he might get a carry later on this season. Is that going to hold true?
Well, I tell Andrew a lot of things. He believes some of them. He doesn't believe some of them. So he may get a carry, and the carries he gets is every time he intercepts one, so he can carry it towards the end zone. So don't tell him that. But he's such a multiple, faceted athlete that he could. And Elliott does that at receiver. Came in and led us in rushing a couple years ago when we needed him at Upper Iowa. But we got great talent, and those kids would love to get their hands on the football any chance they can, especially offensively. And we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Last thing we want to talk about penalties. There are a lot on both sides. Is that just kind of chalked up to the first game of the year?
No, it's chalked up to being undisciplined. It's really what it is. The kids that were making that mistake were kids that we're counting on right now. They're seniors. They're leaders on our football team. Those guys have got to start doing things right. And we got to get out of that kind of bully mentality that you're going to do something, at the end of a play. We just got to walk away. So it's a maturity thing. We need to grow fast and stay away from those, and I expect that we will.
Is that what you're going to work on in practice this week then, or what's the focus of practice this week?
We talk about it on Sundays. We don't focus on that. It's just guys doing your own job. That's what we focus on. So your job is not to be the tough guy at the end of a play. It's not to stick up for somebody. It's a football game. It's controlled by 7 officials. We got it. And so it's playing smarter, more efficient football is the things that we focused on last Friday, actually, after the game. And but it's not something we talk about all week. I'll talk about it before the game because even in big games like that, it didn't cost us the game, but it sure could have. And that's something that we got to realize.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk to the players. We'll go offense with Elliot Cox right after this.
With so many new items on the menu at Wellington's Pub and Grill, you're in for some tough decisions. 6 different salads, homemade soups, huge wraps, juicy steaks, the Wells' own smokehouse ribs, and as always, the best burgers in town. See, we told you it wasn't going to be easy. Log on to wellingtonspubandgrill.com for daily lunch and evening specials. With so many choices for lunch and dinner, you can never come to this well too often.
This is as good as there is. He got it. Here comes Harper. Got him. What a play. Incredible. And they got him. That kid is unbelievable. Wow. Game over.
Everything you love about baseball is on FS1.
Ever wish you could just swing by the local office to pay your bill quickly rather than calling a toll-free number and speaking to a machine? When you join the HBC family, you get that and so much more with local office locations and customer care. Whether you have general questions or would like to upgrade your services, HBC is here in your community, providing an unrivaled, personalized experience. Switching is easy and installation is free, and we're so sure you'll love HBC, we offer a 30-day guarantee. Visit hbci.com to learn more or call 888-474-9995 to experience the HBC difference.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25, brought to you by Wellington's Pub and Grill. Coach Sawyer, time now to talk to the players. You brought your leading wide receiver from this week.
Yeah, Elliot Cox. Welcome, Elliot.
Yeah, appreciate having me here.
Well, the first question I have for you is, we're just talking about Lake City and coming down and having family involved, and your high school coach was at practice last week. How important is that for you to play in an area like this where family and friends are really close?
I mean, it's extremely important. I mean, for myself and my decision making on where to go to school, that was kind of a big factor. And I mean, my family can come down to each game. They can come to practice, like you said. My head coach from high school was there. You know, I walked over in practice, chatted for him for a while. I mean, he played here, so you know him well. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of a huge part in my decision to come here. And I mean, I love it. My family loves it. I mean, it's only a 50-minute drive, so it's not too bad for them either.
That's right.
All right, I want to ask you about continuing at Lake City. How often do you get back, and how closely do you follow the guys that you went to school with?
Yeah, I try to get back as much as I can. We had a really good, close group of friends back home growing up and stuff, and we all try to convene. And I know a lot of them were at my game Thursday, so it was awesome to see them there. But yeah, I try to get back as much as possible. Try to get to a game at least once a year and talk to those guys. But yeah, I mean, I'm starting to not remember as much as the kids left because I mean I'm 4 years out now. So.
Sure. Well, boys basketball go to state this year.
Yep,
we were able to cover a game there. What kind of pride does that fill you with?
Oh, it's great pride. We beat Caledonia actually to go to state, so we have Tanner Grant on the team. We also had Travis Frank, so I was in their ears for the whole week, you know, leading up to the game. And I didn't even play basketball in high school, so.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of pride in that.
All right.
You know, you go back to the game Thursday night, playing against a ranked team, but also, you know, being part of that receiver core that we talked about, threw it to 12 guys. How was the psyche of the receiver core going into, you know, that big game?
Well, you know, going in, we kind of knew we'd be working a rotation. We even have more than 12 guys that can play. So we're really confident with whoever's out in the field. It doesn't matter if it's me, if it's anybody else, we're going to make the play. And in our room, we all kind of know, like, yeah, we can all do it, so.
You know, you look at, you know, you made a couple big catches across the middle. One was up over the top of a kid and making plays for Darren. How important is that for the relationship between the quarterback and the receiver?
Oh, it's extremely important. If you're not making those plays, he's gonna second guess throwing you the ball. So I mean, as long as you keep making the plays and keep getting the ball.
Well, as Coach said, a lot of those were third down conversions that you had to make. Does that put any more pressure on you, knowing that, you know, you got to get this catch to keep the offense going?
I mean, you kind of got to approach every play the same. So, I mean, I enjoy making the big catch on third downs, but I mean, I also like making the big catch on first down, second down. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously there's that added pressure, but you're not thinking that when you're out there. You're just thinking, all right, I got to run my route. What's the defense doing? All right, here's the ball. Make the play.
We talked a little bit about the fact that you came into Winona State as a running back and then switch over to wide receiver. I mean, how's that going now, having to play the other position and really kind of excelling in it now?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love it. It's a little easier on my body, so that's the biggest, biggest plus on it. But yeah, I mean, in high school, I never practiced receiver, never did anything. I was mostly a running back, but if I had to, I'd go out and receiver and stuff. But I mean, I got to give a lot of the credit to Coach Alan May. He's progressed me far head over heel. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without him. So I got to give a lot of credit to him. And, you know, he's worked with me a lot. He's worked with all of us receivers, and he's made us a better group.
You know, one of the last questions I have, just talking about, you know, running routes against zone and running routes against man-to-man, because a lot of people, you know, that are watching the show, you know, they don't really understand how tough that is. What is the difference, and how do you have to prepare differently? Like this week, we're going to see a bunch more man against St. Cloud. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, in the zone defenses, you're running your route, but you're really just looking for an area. It's like we got our triangles of guys where they're in their zones, and we're looking for the middle spot. We got to settle in there, and the man coverage, you're beating the guy next to you. You know, it's a lot more competitive than the zones and stuff, and you know, I like it a lot. You get to add a little more to your routes, you know, make their hips turn the wrong way, and looks a lot better on film. So
I know one of the hardest things to do as a receiver is blocking, and you're blocking against some of the best athletes on the field as well, with the DBs that are playing in this league. How difficult is that when it could be 3 or 4 seconds before that running back gets to you, and you've been blocking this guy, it seems like, for a half hour sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, it's an attitude, really. You know, we don't practice it a lot in practice, the blocking stuff. It's kind of just an attitude. I mean, you got to beat the guy across from you. So, I mean, there's really no technique you got to put into it or anything. It's an attitude, and if you beat him, that's going to be a huge play for the running backs and stuff. So you got to really look at it that way. And also, I played running back, so I appreciate good blocking on the outside. So that kind of plays into it too.
Well, we kind of bring it back once in a while. You know, we give them the nod once in a while on the bus, say, hey, be ready. Like we did at Upper Iowa last year because we were hurt. So being a multiple sport, multiple position guy, how fun is that as an athlete?
I mean, it's awesome. I get to play special teams. I get to play all 4 special teams. I get to play offense, running back sometimes. I mean, I'm always in Coach Keller's ear to try to put me at quarterback, but it hasn't worked out yet. I mean, I'm waiting on it still. But.
You're 1 for 1, aren't you?
Yeah, 1 for 1.
Very good. All right, I always have to look to social media, try to find some interesting things to ask you. One of the things I want to ask you about, you called Zach Volstead the best fullback in the NCAA.
Yes.
Forget Division II, you went the full NCAA.
Without
Do you still
a
stand
doubt.
by that?
Absolutely. He's the hardest working kid I've ever met, and I wouldn't want to get in front of him, so that speaks a lot.
All right, and then the last question that I have, maybe controversial here, you said best holiday, hands down, in your mind, is the 4th of July.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stand by that as well?
I stand by that as well. I mean, America is the greatest country in the world, so that's it.
I don't think we can get any better than that. We got to leave it right there. Thank you for joining us here,
Yeah, I
Alan.
appreciate it.
All
Thank you.
right, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk defense. Cole Moncton joins us right after this.
With so many new items on the menu at Wellington's Pub and Grill, you're in for some tough decisions. 6 different salads, homemade soups, huge wraps, juicy steaks, the Wells' own smokehouse ribs, and as always, the best burgers in town. See, we told you it wasn't going to be easy. Log on to wellingtonspubandgrill.com for daily lunch and evening specials. With so many choices for lunch and dinner, you can never come to this well too often.
There's 5 things I care about: the economy, healthcare, sports, education, and respect for Tom Brady. I am inspiring America. You and I have a lot in common. Like this. Yeah. To be interesting, you've got to be interested. I'm not trying to be relatable. I'm elevatable.
Colin, you're on fire.
I may have just changed the entire world.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25, brought to you by Wellington's Pub and Grill. And Coach, you had one of your top offensive performers from the first week of the season, now your top defensive performer.
Yeah, Cole Moncton is here. Cole, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, let's go right to it. Let's go back to Thursday night. Okay. Great atmosphere. Talk about the walk first. I know HBC was there, and we got more things coming. But as a player, the new tailgate, let's talk about that first. How was that for you guys?
It's filled with energy. Loved it, absolutely. You know, the first game of the year is always very exciting as a player. So to have that walk felt like there was a lot more energy around, and you could feed off of that and get excited about it going into the stadium. So it was really cool.
You know, you get into the stadium and we start playing the game, and all of a sudden you make 2 huge plays in the game. I mean, you made many, but 2 big ones. And first people are going, oh no, and then here comes Cole. Talk about those 2 big bat downs that you had.
The guy kind of had a step on me, but you know, I just ran to the near hip and just played the ball in the air and just tried my hardest and got there.
Talk about that technique, because you know, one thing we talk about all the time is, you know, keep swinging, keep after it, and finish the plays. What does that mean to you as an athlete?
Well, I like the phrase "get up and keep fighting." That was my word that we chose. So, you know, I was beat a little bit, but I just had to get up and keep fighting and keep going. And I knew that there was a chance for me to make the play, and I had to try my hardest to be able to get to that chance and make the opportunity the best.
You bet.
I want to ask about your progression here at Winona State. Obviously, you were a redshirt your first season, played in about 10 games last year, and then you have a big game, first game of this year. How did that redshirt season help you in your progression?
It all was a build-up to this season. You know, I get to start this season, so that's good. I wouldn't say the redshirt season as much as last season helped me more, because last season I got to see the field a little bit and, you know, get some solid experience that really set me on the right path for this season.
Okay, what were some of the things that maybe you saw on the field that contributed to your success in the first week?
I don't really know. It was just all practice. We've seen their offense and we knew what they were doing. So it was just the repetition from practice and then turning it into the game was a big part of it.
Okay.
You know, Cole, when you look at, you know, playing against different types of receivers that we mentioned earlier, when you're down inside the red zone and they're looking at you and they're going, throw fade on this guy, and it just doesn't seem to work out so well, what goes through your mind, and how do you really dig in to go and throw the football to me?
I think fade routes in the end zone, that's just a one-on-one competition. And in my head, I want them to throw it because I want to win. I want to win that battle.
You know, you go into a different type of team this week. They had a 100-yard rusher, St. Cloud does. And what's your preparation mindset for the kind of game that you're going to see at St. Cloud?
Well, it's just to get better every day from Bemidji to this week, and then every week as we go forward throughout the season. It's just to keep getting better every day, get my technique better, and get everything right, and then it'll all transform over into the game.
You know, another thing is that I was wondering about is, you know, playing on Thursday nights, you know, it's the second week of school, and we got another Thursday night at the end of the year. How much more difficult, if it is that preparation for you as a student?
It's a little different because you have class that day and then class the next day. So it's a little different, but I mean, it is game day, so you just got to have that mentality that, you know, you're going into a game, and that's the #1 priority at the moment.
For sure.
Well, let me talk about that for just a second. How hard is it to focus on your classes that day, knowing that you have a game coming up at the end of the day?
It is pretty tough, I'll be honest. It is difficult to stay focused in class when, you know, you have a game later that night and you know what's coming, and it's a lot of nerves in class. You know, you're just sitting there kind of waiting for it to be over and get ready to go for the game.
All right, let's go back to your high school days, and I want to talk a little bit about being a multiple sport athlete. You were a track athlete in high school. Talk about what you did in track and how that kind of helps you in your position in the secondary.
Sure. Well, I did mostly jumping in track high school, but a lot of it was the track workouts that I enjoyed because those would get me faster, and being a defensive back, you have to have speed. So that was the kind of aspect that I took from it.
You were also a wide receiver in high school, so how does that help you on defense, kind of knowing the way that the offense works?
Yeah, it definitely helps a lot because now I see what the receiver sees, and I know he's running a route and he's looking at me and at the safety and the outside linebacker, and I know where he's trying to go, so that helps me, you know, kind of get there too.
One of the questions I have is, you know, this summer you had a bunch of different jobs, and one of them was, you know, doing some gardening at my house. How difficult is that with the pressures of a head coach working on his yard?
It's not too difficult. It's not too bad. It was fun.
It was fun.
Fun night.
Well, the last thing I have, Cole, is, you know, the preparation and playing. Now we got a day trip, so that preparation where, you know, we got school one week, and then next week we're going to drive 3 hours and then play a football game. How are you going to prepare yourself best this weekend?
We'll definitely get all my schoolwork done before the weekend. You know, trying to finish that up, and then when it comes to the weekend, you just have the whole bus ride to focus on the game and get ready and be ready for it.
Awesome.
All right, last question I have is something I did a little research on to find out about you. Before coming to Winona State, you were selected for USA Football Select Team. You got to play in Dallas, Texas, in the big Cowboy Stadium against a world football team. What exactly was that, and how fun was that to play in?
That was an amazing opportunity. That's something I look back at and remember all the time. I have pictures of it. I have the jersey from the game. I mean, it was really fun, really cool opportunity to see. You know, because there's kids on our team from all over the country, and we were all in high school at the time, so it was really interesting. And then playing at an NFL stadium was just unbelievable. You know, going from a high school stadium to that.
And
so it was really cool.
And playing against a world team too. How different was maybe their style of play?
It was different, but football's still football. So they were still running, you know, a lot of the similar plays that we were running. But it was cool. They actually had guys from, I believe, over 20 different countries. So that was really interesting.
Very good. All right, cool.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for joining us. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show, and when we come back, we'll talk about this week's opponent, St. Cloud State, that's coming up right after this.
With so many new items on the menu at Wellington's Pub and Grill, you're in for some tough decisions. 6 different salads, homemade soups, huge wraps, juicy steaks, the Wells' own smokehouse ribs, and as always, the best burgers in town. See, we told you it wasn't going to be easy. Log on to wellingtonspubandgrill.com for daily lunch and evening specials. With so many choices for lunch and dinner, you can never come to this well too often.
Fox Thursdays.
The game is simple. You name the song, I give you some money.
It's time to make sweet music with host Jamie Foxx.
But this ain't Dancing with the Stars.
It's a race against the clock.
Man versus machine.
As 3 teams battle it out.
Somebody's about to go down.
For $1 million.
That's so much money!
Beat Shazam Thursdays, or watch anytime on demand or Fox Now.
NASCAR racing is about a whole lot more than just cars going around a track. It's about people who drive, people who engineer, people who plan, people who know how to put it all together. Meet the people who make the cars go round every week on Raceline. Watch Raceline here every week.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. Time to wrap up the show, and we'll talk about St. Cloud State in just a moment. But I got to go back to the players segment. So you have your players do your yard work? Is that how that works?
Well, sometimes we do. You know, at the beginning of the year, we do a big mulch project out at our house, and we hired, I think, 4 guys this year, and we have some other students that come out too once in a while. But it's fun, you know, to have those guys out, and you know, Connie and I are sitting on the deck and ordering them around. It's the only time they really listen to me, so it's really kind of fun. But yeah, you know, a way for them to get out and help us, and us a chance to help them as well.
And it's a way to kind of earn that dinner that comes up later, right?
Well, you know what they did is some of the guys that were there also worked at our neighbors who had bought, you know, a working day through our auction at the gala, and so that was kind of part of it. They went back-to-back days, so there was a lot of mulch being thrown out on Prairie Island. But you know, when you get young athletes like these guys working in the community, it's you know, tenfold. There's a lot of positives out of it, but most importantly is just the work that our kids do in this community is amazing.
All right, so let's kind of get back to a question I asked earlier about what practice is going to be like this week. You've seen your team in an actual game. How does that change what you do this week to prepare for St. Cloud?
Well, I think part of it's the same, part of it's much different. The part that's the same is that, you know, we still got to try to get healthy. You know, we weren't 100%. We were pretty close last week, but we're still trying to heal up a couple guys and making sure that we're as full strength as we possibly can going into each week. But our preparation's a little bit different when you play on a Thursday. We came in on Friday, practiced on Friday, took Saturday off, practiced on Sunday, Monday, and took Tuesday off. And then the rest of the week is a normal week, so it's a little bit disrupted, but I think that's okay too. Get out of that routine, then we'll be back in it next week. But you know, a night game on the road on a Saturday that's a day trip, and it's 3 hours, so it's long enough. We can do it, but you know, as long as traffic in the cities cooperate. But it's a different kind of week.
All right, let's talk the injuries. I think Will Clausen is probably one of them. He only saw the field a little bit, but made a really big catch for you. How's he doing right now?
Actually, much better. You know, the best part is he got fresh legs. And, you know, we only used him for that. He got cleared the day before to have limited reps. And so we knew that we wanted to have him and get in and go deep, and he did that. And he actually came back for the ball. Was a little bit underthrown, and he came back, made a great catch. And I don't know why he just didn't turn around and run in the end zone. He kind of looked around and thought, I'm actually in the game. He got caught, but he's going to be good. I think that you know, the other kids that played a little bit like that are much better this week as well.
Okay, who else is on the mend then for this week?
Well, Marley Allison is coming along, and so is Isaiah Franson. So it's, you know, with Elliott Cox, those guys are experienced, older receivers that, you know, they hadn't practiced a whole lot and still got in the game. They each had a catch. But now you put those guys on the road with Elliott, who's been getting 1 million reps, you really can start to balance out our receiver core a little bit better.
All right, last minute opponent this week is St. Cloud, who won their opening game against Southwest. How do you match up against St. Cloud?
I think pretty well. It's a little, you know, a lot different defense than, you know, looking at it from offensively, a lot different defense that they're running, more of a 4-down approach to what they're doing, not as much pressure as Bemidji brought to us, although they could. But it's a little bit different style. But they have some big kids up front and on both sides of the football. They have a younger quarterback, but they have a very good running back who did rush for 100 this last week. So we got to just get our nose to the grindstone and do what we do and do it very, very well.
All right, Coach, thank you for joining us and good luck this week.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you for joining us as well. We'll see you next week here on HBC TV 25.